Hey everybody, thanks for joining in. I'm Kim. Welcome if you're new, and if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back again. It's another market recap week. I have a little bit of a vlog that I just managed to do on Friday because I'm not that organised that I could do it every day. So tiny little bit of new yarn, and then I have some footage from the markets. I have the market recap, and then I have a few little extra things. So here's the video from during the week, and then the markets, and then the recap. You can fast forward to wherever you like, but just bear in mind for everybody's channel, the algorithm loves it if you stay at least 10 minutes before you fast forward or sneak off anywhere. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do that now. Let's get all of that stuff out of the way. All right, here's the video, and I will catch up with you again after that. Just swinging by the sewing basket, just on the super random off chance, very slim chance that they may have some of the stuff that Spotlight's discontinued. Could happen. It's happened once or twice before, but you never know. And I'm having a serious case of FOMO at the moment, so if I find anything interesting, I'll show you. But fingers crossed, please. The sewing basket wasn't really a bust, but it wasn't brilliant, but I did manage to pick up a few things. I got 250 odd grams of this, which, I mean, look how thick that is. I don't know what it is. It's super light. Like this feels like a cotton ball. There's no weight to this at all. But look at the beautiful colors. I don't know if they're showing up, but there's like a lemon yellow, a baby powder blue kind of deal. There's a nice purple. So I thought that might be good for something. So that's just the little scrap ball that came with it. And then there was, sorry about the noise, but then there was that great big ball. Then I got 3 balls of, this is Lincraft Teddy Soft. So I got 2 balls of the Lincraft Teddy Soft in black, and then there's this one other ball of also black fur, but it's not the Teddy Soft because it's a much, you can see that, I don't know if you can tell the difference, but the blacks are 2 different colors. The Teddy Soft is a much lighter black, and they were $1 each, and they're brand new balls, so that was a bargain. I picked up another packet of these safety eyes. They've got no I don't think they've got any backs in there. Oh yeah, they've got the metal discs for the backs, but yeah, so there's more of those safety eyes. So there's like there's 5 in there, which is good because I think I've got an odd one at home. They're handy for things, but I prefer to use them if I put like some eyelids or something on as well. So that was 5 of those. Yeah, I can't see because I'm not putting my glasses on. That was $1. So 5 of those and some metal backs. That was $1. Then I grabbed these, and I have looked at them a few times before. This was $2.50. I'll put my glasses on. This was $2.50. These are little koala noses. I'm not sure if you can see that very well there. So these are a little bag of koala noses. And so it looks like there's about 8 little koala noses in there. And I don't mind embroidering, but why would you embroider when you can get an actual koala nose? And I just noticed there's a free googly eye stuck on the bag. So $2.50 for 8 little koala noses. They're about an inch long-ish, I would say. So I've lost my favourite hook, which is a 7, and I don't use it too much anymore, but it's my, it was the hook that I first started with when I was doing market stuff, so it's nice to have, and I do like it for the thicker things. So they have loads and loads. Like, they've got literally thousands of crochet hooks in there, but do you think they've got anything above a 5, really? No. So when I saw a 6.5, I grabbed it. It doesn't have a brand on it, and I'm not really fussed, but it's metal. And it's a 6.5, so I've just got to get some beads from Victoria to whack on there, and we're good to go with that one. I'm now off to Spotlight because millins are $10, and I'm thinking if I can find some of the blues that I need in the millins, I'll be right. I'm not going to buy anything else. Anyway, it's on the way home, so it'd be silly not to stop in. If they have a decent price 7, I might get one too. So I will check in with you at Spotlight if there's anything worth checking in about. Spotlight had nothing. But we knew that. They don't fill their millins very often. Their Motivera was still $18. Their new Lion brand blanket stuff was $20. They've got that burlap patchwork, but honestly, I don't know, unless you are actually making some sort of patchwork blanket, I can't see that stuff would be useful. So yeah, I got absolutely nothing in Spotlight. Couldn't even get what I needed for, let me see if I can find it. I bought some key rings and some keychains, these ones. And normally they come with a big ring on that part and at the bottom there to attach to the toy. These ones came with like a 5mm ring. It's way too small. So I went into the jewelry making section at Spotlight trying to get some of the jump rings. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So there's a shop down the road that's super duper cheap. I might try them. They've got a big jewelry section, big craft section, so they might have some in their jewelry part of that. Otherwise, I've just used these things. So I'm sort of a bit stuck on key rings at the moment. I do have a few of the older ones that still had the extra ring on them, but I'll just have to try to remember not to order from that particular eBay shop again. Anyway, so no yarn. The only thing I got when I went to the shopping centre where Spotlight is, apart from a really nice sushi roll for lunch, I found these in one of the junk shops, in the discount shop. So it's just some different size coloured eyes, red, green, blue. I don't know what sizes. Give me 1 second before I choke myself with my glasses. I don't know what size they are. 14, 16 and 18. There's not many, but that was only $2.50. So who's going to leave behind $2.50 worth of coloured eyes? Brand new ones too, not like the sewing basket that's all secondhand. So yeah, so that was all I got when I went, apart from some lunch. So just a quick check-in then before I start, before I head back over to my squishy chair and start smashing out some stuff for the market tomorrow. I guess this is the market prep that I've done this week. It's been busy, and I've been, after about 7:30 at night, I just can't manage it anymore, so I'm a bit short on time. So short on time that I actually took yarn to work with me, which I have said I would never do because I don't trust myself to only do it at lunchtime, but I did. So I had a meeting day on Wednesday, and so I took a ball of this Aldi variegated, and I managed to do a jellyfish body, and then came home and did the ruffle and the tentacles, and I did a turtle shell, and then I came home and did the blue bits for that turtle. So I'm actually happy with those. This one, because this yarn, so my regular pattern that it's my own free-handed turtle thing, but I've just made notes so that I can try and make sure they're mostly the same. But this yarn is much thinner, the Aldi stuff, so I just needed to do an extra increase round, but otherwise it worked out fine. I think an extra increase round and an extra plain single crochet round, otherwise it was exactly the same as the other one, but it turned out quite nice. That's the little, what's it called, nippers? I think it might be called nippers from Spotlight. It's shockingly hard to use. I don't like it, but anyway, worked out okay for this guy. So I made Aldi Rainbow Turtle. I did another one from some of this lovely yarn that I do enjoy working with some Burnout Mysticals for the body. You may have seen that one in a really dodgy looking little animation thing that I put on the Instagrams, where that one and this one ended up walking away off my shelf behind me there and swimming off in the ocean. What AI can do, huh? So the crochets were real, the animation wasn't. So yeah, then I did that one. I can't remember where that yarn came from. I would have to say it's a Spotlight. But would it be? I don't know. Someone will know. That's a Spotlight, and this is a really cheap shop brand. It's called Microfiber Chunky. It's not a blanket. It's not really a chenille. It's dead set. It's a microfiber. It's not real smooth. You can see the difference between that and normal blankie. But that's the yarn that I started out with, and was the easiest to get. It's relatively cheap. Works up quite nicely. People seem to like it, and so yeah, I've done the turtles with that. So that's 3 turtles, and I think I've done. I did glitter eyes on that one, but I think I did embroidered eyes on the rest of them because I noticed last time people were buying some for babies. So I thought I'd give them some, not baby safe eyes, but less baby danger eyes. And then I did some embroidered eyes on this jellyfish. Now this is not my jellyfish pattern. This is just another random freehand jellyfish that I do. This one sits in my middle price section. That doesn't go hanging up with those big fancy ones that I've been doing. So then, because I sold 10 key rings, I thought I'd better get some key rings done, and I just needed something super fast. So I just did some freehand little octopuses. So this is some more of that microfiber yarn. I don't mind it. It curls up quite nicely. So I did a little green octopus, and he's just got that little hanger on. I did one, I think I did that one at work too, actually, when I was on a break. So yeah, that's that Aldi yarn. It's a beautiful colour, that one. This is a nice velvet that I found on a random yarn website. So it's a sort of a purple speckle variegated, and then it's got this different shade of purple at the front there. So that's purple octopus. And then this is some more of that variegated from the mill ends, little pink octopus. That one appears to be waving. There we go. So they're just a really quick. I'd say the most time-consuming part of those, apart from maybe the tentacles, but is just trying to close up that little hole at the bottom, and the rest of them just whip up really fast. I needed to replace the dumpling / empanada. Did that one at school on a lunch break on Wednesday as well. And no, some of these I did last night. I had to stay back. So school finishes at 3:15. Then I do backgate duty until 3:30, and then I usually nick off. But I had to do an online professional learning thing that didn't start till 4, and then I was there till 5. So I took a bag of yarn scraps. That's what I was doing yesterday. I did the octopuses yesterday. So these were just, I took little bundles of scraps along, and I did those ones yesterday. Just a little froggy still in that Spotlight Nippers yarn. He's got those little googly eyes I got from the sewing basket. Empanada yesterday. Dumpling, empanada, whatever you want to call it. Earlier in the week, I had a little binge. I don't batch make because batch make drives me nuts. Anything repetitive generally drives me crazy. I lose interest super duper fast, which is why I struggle with the turtles, having to do 4 flippers. But binge make I can do. That's just when I sort of get into a groove and off I go. I've sold a few slinky worms lately, so I had to restock the slinky worms because I only had pink ones left. So the blue ones sold last weekend. So I just did this one. This is in the Polar Chenille that Spotlight put out. It's just a chunky velvet. I don't know why they called it Polar Chenille. Stupid name, but anyway, that's just stripes of blue and navy green. Geez Louise. Green and navy blue. So there we go. I'll just hold that back a bit so you can see it. There we are. And then I just did a green one with some of that eyelash yarn. I don't know if that's actually called the eyelash yarn, but you know, that yarn that was out years ago that people used to make scarves out of. So yeah, that's it's sort of all different blues and a bit of purple. So just a plain green one. They've all got the same little face on them. I did a blue out of, no idea, just a random blue that I had lying around, and that's definitely the Polar Chenille in there because it's kind of velvety. So that one's just a stripy worm. And the last one is some random yarn that I showed you weeks and weeks ago that I picked up at the sewing basket. So it's kind of variegated. I know I've seen Tracy use a similar one, and I think some other people did too, use it for snakes because it comes out with that nice stripe in it on one side and then the plain belly. So yeah, this guy's sort of got a spiral of stripe, and the boys tend to like these ones, but hasn't been kids buying them lately. So yeah, so I've got 4 slinky worms, plus I've got 4 already, so that's 8 slinky worms. Should be okay with 8 slinky worms. My market tomorrow is my regular one. That's at Revesby in the park next to a train station. They don't advertise that anywhere near what they should, I feel, and other vendors have said the same thing. And visitors too, and locals that we talk to say, you know, I've lived here 10 years, didn't know this market was on. So it would be really nice. Yeah, I just sort of get the sense that they're winding down. But anyway, that's tomorrow's market. So I'm not actually expecting big business like I got last week, relatively big business. So hopefully I won't have too much stuff that I need to catch up on. I have in the works today, I've got a bluey half done. Is it Bluey the dog? Yes, I've got a bluey that I've done this morning, and I think I used the wrong size hook. I would have used my 7, but my poor old 7 is still lost. Poor 7. And then I had a doctor's appointment this morning, and even though I always get the first appointment in the morning, I still end up having to wait like 20 minutes. So I took some red with me, and managed to get this done while I was waiting. And then I sat down and talked to the doctor, and he's got a phone call. And he's like, I'll be back in 1 minute. So I whipped it out again. Anyway, that's the beginnings of a strawberry cat to replace the one that I sold last week. That'll go in my big chunks and sit on the shelf next to my watermelon cat. that will be a nice quick make. So I'll get that one done. I'll get the bluey done. I may have to make up some more turtles. I could probably make a few things that go in my mid section, but they don't really sell very well. So I'll have to see about that. But maybe a few more key rings or bag charms, whatever you want to call them, bag tags. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm just doing what I feel like. So that works. I haven't heard from the people who ordered, not ordered, but, you know, expressed interest in ordering and saying, yes, I'll definitely message. So I haven't heard from any of them yet from last week's market. So I've worked out, I've been what do you call it? Therapizing, psychologizing myself. So somebody asked me for an Eeyore so I sold my Eeyore. Somebody asked me and said they wanted to order one. And then I realized that I just had nowhere near enough of the yarn color to make it. And then you can't get it anymore because it's sold out at Spotlight. And then I was thinking, someone's asked me for some stitches and some blues. And I'm like, oh, I don't have the right blues for those. And I've realized that what I do is I fixate on exactly the right color. So like with Eeyore, I had this beautiful, beautiful blue, and I have a feeling it was called periwinkle. It was almost, it was a light blue, kind of along these lines, but it was definitely tending towards the slightest hint of mauve. I want to call it a Wedgwood blue, if it makes any sense. But yeah, it was a gorgeous blue, and it was the perfect color for the Disney style Eeyore. And I thought, well, if I haven't got that, I can't make Eeyores anymore. I can never make an Eeyore again. And so I Googled crocheted Eeyores and had a look at all of the different color range, and I realized I'm just a great big weirdo, and I should really get over it and just try slightly different colors. I think if the shape and the proportions are right, the colors should not matter too much. I mean, obviously you're not going to buy a purple or a green bluey. It's bluey. You know, and you're not going to buy a black and orange spotted stitch. But if it looks like the character and it's, like I said, the right proportions, I think it shouldn't matter too much. I hope it shouldn't matter too much. I've got a lot. I have a lot of the that glitter yarn from Spotlight. And the reason I have a lot is because it's a pain in the butt to work with. It hurts. It's thick and it's solid. It doesn't glide. It's it's quite annoying. So I do have lots of that. I just have to suck it up. Probably use a 9mm hook for that, so people will end up with big giant blueies and stuff if I use that one. Anyway, that's enough rambling. I'm going to go and finish this strawberry cat, finish this bluey. I might check in with you again today. I've already got the car packed and parked at a spot ready to pull out of here at 6 in the morning. Not expecting a big day, as I said, but who knows? It's getting towards Christmas shopping time. So, you know, people last week were buying things to put away for Christmas. Again, this market's in the cheap seats, so we'll see. We will see. Anyway, I'll check in with you a little bit later on. Market morning, 1 hour and 45 minutes to set up. So I'm pretty darn happy with that. Of course, I will fiddle with things during the day because that's just how things go. I'm just going to turn the camera around because I want to show you how empty it is today. So there's usually someone there opposite me. There's sometimes an extra one down there. My spot is actually where the people who usually have the double stall and sell the DVDs are. There's my empty spot, and the spot next to, so that was my last time spot, and then the spot next to me is empty. Then there's some over there, and then there's, a couple. I can count, I counted say 20. Now I can see, so I'm saying it is probably around 22. Which is what happens when you don't advertise and people decide to go other places. So anyway, let's have a little bit of a look at what's going on over here, and I'm going to try not to be too weird talking to myself. So we've got brand new batch of slinky worms, and I've popped the price up $2 on those. All my jellyfish here at the front. The key rings seem to be going better if they are in a tub, so, well, not better actually, no, that's not true. The key rings are going okay in a tub, so I've left them in a tub, and I've just put some more there, and the one mystery bag. Organised the same as last week, but I just flipped it in the opposite direction so it was more visible to people walking down. So there's all my smalls, ducks, chickens, cats and frogs, and the bees and axolotls, odds and ends, and some chicken bananas. There's the fancy saucy nugs. These are my mids. This section for some reason just does not do so great. I mean, it does okay, but not, it's a train in the background. It's probably going to be a bit noisy. These are my chunks. This is my top standard group. This is my highest price standard group. Yeah, it's $20. It's gradually going up. My counter with some Lucky Dips, not many left. My bags and my pop-offs, which are these little springy things. You squish them down and they go pop. Does what it says on the box. This guy's never going to sell. He's just going to keep coming to markets. And there's my dragons, some fancy jellies. Elmo's the only licensed thing I have left. My springies, sold one of those last week. And there's my pictuses. There's all the naked bodies and the pots and hats waiting for their turn. And that's it. That's me. So, wait and see. I've sold one tiny little, what do you call it? Little dino. Sold one tiny little dino and that's it. So, quiet day, not sunny, just good weather, but a bit garbage out here when you look at it. Mind you, it's still early. It's only like 9 o'clock. So, I don't know if there's kids' sports on this weekend. Anyway, check in later. This is me doing a shameless plug for my recap video because a guy came in a little while ago and did something absolutely bananas that no one has ever done before, and I'm just teasing it. So you want to find out what this guy did? You want to find out what this guy did? Like, seriously, catch the video. Okay, so markets. Well, markets was a little bit bizarre this time. It was my usual market that doesn't go so well, and I've got my notes down here in front of me. So the last time I was at that market was obviously a month ago, and I sold 20 things and took $120. The time before that was, remember, this was the market that was cancelled for like 4 months. So the time before that was May. So let's forget that. Anyway, this is the regular one. Lowish income area, not especially well advertised, which I'm a little annoyed about, but I'm not the organizer, so what do you do? Right from the outset, pack up time, which is an issue for me. Pack up time was 1 hour 45 minutes. Go me. And that was actually usually I'm feeling a bit of anxiety and a bit of panic about how long it takes and how much I've got to do, and I've got to be ready because people sort of start coming and poking around. But it was a really chill kind of setup. And I have a feeling, because even though I've been doing this for almost 2 years, I think, I've always said I'll take a photo of my stall when I'm happy with it, and then I'll just have a look on my phone, and then I'll do that again the next time. So pack up should be faster. And, it never is. It never is. I think the worst I ever did was like a 3-hour setup, which was just completely unsustainable, but I think that was just a one-off. What I've tried to do since then is be a little bit more conscious of how much I pack in the car. And how much I actually have to deal with. I've bought the bamboo shelves that I've shown you before. I've bought an extra table, so now I've got 2 6s and a 4. And the grids that I have, the metal grids that I hang up, I don't hang up so many now because I've got the height that I want from the shelves that I'm putting on the table. So when I set up last week at the really, really good market, I was actually really happy with that setup. And that worked because my tables actually took up the whole inside space. Kind of a little problem if, with my regular markets, they have us butted right up against each other, and there's no space in between. But this one last week, she was basically like, spread out over 2 parking spaces, you're all good. And so I was able to have my table set up on the inside, as you've seen in the pictures, and then I could come out of my gazebo and walk around if I needed to interact with someone or I needed to fix things inside the actual display. And so I messaged the organizer of yesterday's market and I said, look, if it's at all possible and it doesn't cause you any issues, can I have a spot where there's a little bit of space on one side of me, please. And turns out that the people that I'm usually right in the middle of, neither of them came, and she had given me extra space anyway. And I said, look, I just need half a metre on one side. That's it. And she's like, oh, well, you can have this and this. And basically I could have had like 10, 20 metres if I needed. But all I wanted was just enough space to come out and walk around without having to sort of sidle between and try not to knock over displays and stuff. So that worked really well. I had a quick look at my phone at last week's display because I was really happy with it. And I decided, yep, I'm just going to go with that. I remember what it looks like. So I wanted to flip it because the direction that everybody comes from, I wanted them to be able to see everything rather than be met with a wall of the back of shelves and things. So yeah, it was reversed, which actually reminds me too. I've moved my area in this room here, so things look a little bit different behind me because I got sick of squishing into a corner and I wanted to have more distance. Anyway, so markets. Yeah, so the setup was just really, I was really cool with it. Everything worked out really well. The shelves were easy to set up. I hadn't restocked a great deal, so I sort of didn't have so much stuff to put out. No, but I knew where I wanted everything, which I think is probably a first for me. I was set up by like 8:45, which is early for people to be out and about. It is in the middle of a shopping centre, but also, you know, it was a Saturday and who wants to get out of bed that early if they don't have to on a Saturday? So it was a little bit slow to kick off, but it kicked off, and I sort of got a sense straight away that it just wasn't quite the regular market. So I had a different, it's funny because like I had a different feeling about it because it was a different arrangement to what I've had at that particular market before. I didn't have my walls up again. I did have a back wall because there is a footpath directly behind. So just for a bit of security, I did have a back wall up. But yeah, I had 3 sales within 30 minutes, like from when the first sale came, which was just a little bit after 9, I think. So yeah, there wasn't much waiting at all. And then it was just fairly steady throughout the day. And regulars came by, which is always really nice. And I've mentioned before the lady with that likes to buy the ice creams, she came by with her family. So it was really good. The lady next to me is lovely as well. She, I think I've shown her before. I get there at like 6:30, 7 o'clock, and she is well and truly set up. So I don't know what time she gets there. She has to be there easily before 6. I would love to say I'm really, really sorry for doing a teaser if you saw it on Instagram during the market. But a thing happened that was just like, it sort of threw me off, and it's not a bad thing at all. A man came along and he was having a little bit of a look around and having a little bit of a chat, and he said, oh, my wife's at the next stall, she'll be here soon and she'll love this particular thing. And he'd been picking up a couple of little things and putting them near my counter, and having a conversation about what different things were, and he's saying, oh, is this a is this thing? And I'm like, no, it's intended to be that, but if you want it to be this, it can be this. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, yeah, so he was picking up everything. He was having a good old chat, telling me about the Facebook page that he runs. His wife came along and they both started talking about different things and what they could be useful for. And so he just sort of started piling things near the counter. And he had, I thought what he was doing is like what a lot of people do is they'll pick all the things they like, arrange them all, then pick a couple and put everything back. And I assumed that's what he was doing. And he's like, oh, and this one too, and this one too. And I was just like keeping a little bundle, and I kind of had to rearrange my counter space to accommodate everything that he was collecting there. And so he was in my stall, I would say, for a good 20 minutes at least. And he wasn't just looking through the cheap thing. He was giving everything a really good look. And every time he turned around, he saw something new. And then his wife saw something new. And I couldn't quite understand what it was that he was trying to tell me, because I was also watching, there was a lot of people in the background as well, because, you know, when you get someone in the stall and it draws other people in. So he and his wife were in there having a good dig around, and other people were sort of attracted by that. And so I was trying to keep an eye on everybody while he was having a chat. And I gather that he's writing a children's book, and he said something about using the plushies as the characters. So yeah, he was just making this massive big collection. And this man came in and bought 16 things. 16. That is more than I sold the last time I was there, and the last time I was at a small market, and 16. He bought 16 things. So when I go through the list of everything that has been purchased, it's a big list. Now, aside from that, if that man had not come, I still would have sold more than I have ever sold at that market and taken more cash in than I have ever taken at that market. He just sort of bumped it up. So now it's just a few dollars off last week, but I think it rivals my big church market that I had at the beginning of the year. So I'm going to go through everything that I have, everything that went this time, and we can have a little bit of a look, because I was kind of blown away yesterday. I was kind of blown away because I was not expecting, that market's usually super duper slow. I was not expecting this. And the lady next to me was saying, we were just sort of wondering, and she said, well, maybe it's better when there's less, because there was only like 20 stalls there. So, because there was another big festival on somewhere in Sydney, and a lot of the vendors had gone there. But way too expensive. It was like, I don't know, $1,000 a stall, something, I don't know, some ridiculous amount, but I wouldn't be going there. So there wasn't that many. There was only 20 there. And so maybe people who had money to spend or were doing a little bit of Christmas shopping or whatever, less places to pick from. So it could have been that. I don't know. There's too many variables. But for me, it was my it was my biggest day in items sold. It was my second biggest day ever in the amount that I took. So let's go through the data. I've got my trusty book here. Key rings. So 8 key rings gone, 2 in bundles of 3, because I do a batch price for those. 5 lucky dips, which was fabulous, and stupid me thinking, oh my goodness, I've only got 2 lucky dips left on the table. I'm going to have to make more things. But then when I got home and I was unpacking the car in my garage on the ground, I found a bag that had all the things that I had binge made for the lucky dips. So lucky dips are ready to go for another couple of weeks yet. So 5 lucky dips, 8 key rings. They were the little things. Then out of my smalls category, which is my, like it says on the box, it's my smallest things, 11. Last week, 1. This week, 11. And it's funny because last week I sold way more fancies and no smalls, and this one I sold 1 small, 1 fancy and lots of smalls. So kind of the opposite of last week. So that's why I've got big numbers in the items, but the price is not, really reflective of that, because there was lots and lots of small things. Anyway, so small things. And if I have a picture of it, I did try to go around and get a picture of each shelf so I can crop out a really fuzzy picture of the thing that I sold. I will try and put them somewhere up here. I don't know where I'm going to put them now. They'll probably go over that shelf. I'm going to try and put the pictures up for you. So a little T-Rex, a yellow and black bee, which seems to be popular, so I'll definitely have to make some more of those. One of my magic mushrooms, the one with the little black, he had the grey body and the black top on him. 3 different chickens, a plain saucy nug, not one of the fancy dress-up ones, an emotional support nugget, which I haven't actually sold before, and I don't think I've shown you, but it's a nugget about this big, and it's packaged in a bag with a little sign that says emotional support nugget for when you need a nug hug. And so somebody came and brought that. Actually, that was someone who came and saw it and then went away and then came back and said, yeah, I'm going to get it, which is always nice to do. My very first snake slap band went, and that went to the man that bought a bazillion things. So they are just a slap band, and I just crocheted a snake over the top of them, and they round your wrist. They look fabulous, and I thought they'd be great, especially being the year of the snake. I put them out around Lunar New Year time, and nope. So they were about to go into lucky dips, but then I sort of thought, snakes are a bit iffy. People might not like snakes, and some people don't like them because they're scared of them. And anyway, so yeah, a slap band. Now, the cactus. You may have seen, I did a video a while back where I do the mystery makes, and Computer Bob gives me a surprise pattern, and it turns out to be something. So I did one, I can't remember what it was intended to be, but it was green and it had 3 little knobs on the bottom. Maybe it was a seal, I can't remember anyway, but I turned it upside down, made it into a cactus, put it in a little pot. So the guy that took the bundle took the slap band, the cactus, and then a random alien that I had made out of the only decent, I haven't got any here, but the only decent mill end that you get at Spotlight, with the googly eyes. I point up here. It's got the googly eyes on top of its head, 3-legged alien. So yeah, he took 3 things from the smalls. So then my cats, my kitties. So I've done a bit of a catch up. I did this one at the market yesterday because I thought, okay, I've got this yarn here and I'm severely down on cats, so I'm going to have to get started. So just an aside, look at the colour striping in that. That's the Aldi yarn. I love the Aldi yarn. But anyway, so these little guys are in my smalls category. Out of my cats this time, I think last week I didn't sell any. Nope, no cats at all last week. This week, 11 cats. So 3 black, some of them were plain black, some had white faces. 4 white ones, and now some of them were plain white, some of them were like white with grey. They were just, white with brown, different types of white. And out of that, I think Bundle Guy, because I didn't catch his name, so I say this with respect, Bundle Guy bought 1, 2, 3, 4 cats. So far he got 3 other small things and 4 cats. So that was a total of 11 cats, all gone. Got to try and catch up the cats. So as I said, I did that one at the market, and then I just whipped this one up this morning with a ball of leftover Polish chenille. That's the Polish chenille from Spotlight. So then he also took, you may be familiar with my pictus, which is it a pictle? Is it a pictle? Is it a pickle? Is it a cactus? Could be either. Put a hat on it and it's a fancy pickle. Put it in a little pot and you've got a cactus. So they wanted just 2 of those as cactuses, I think. So I sold those for the same price that I do the small things because they're roughly the same. So I will need to catch up on some more pickles. Lots of people looked at the pictuses and I don't think I actually sold a dressed up one. Someone asked if she could try on the clothes. I'm like, yeah, go for it, have fun. But she didn't buy one. I'm okay with that. So then the next category is mids. And I just finished telling you last week about how my mids don't sell because last week I sold a mushroom and a jellyfish. And the week before that was a mushroom. And the one before that was a single ice cream. Mids hadn't been selling. 6 mids went this time. A little grey bear, which I don't know if I've shown you and I'm not sure if I'll have a picture of it, but it started out where I was making, that thing that I do where I just make one thing and then I'm like, yeah, no, that's not it. And it turns into something else. So yeah, this turned into a little fat grey bear and I just put a little heart on its belly. So it was a free-handed thing. And a lady took it because she wanted something for a baby. She wanted something out of a yarn that wasn't going to fluff in a baby's mouth if they chewed on it. And it didn't have any safety eyes. It had embroidered eyes. So she was absolutely stoked with that. She said, perfect, taking that. I sold a hedgehog with really fluffy, actually it's this one, with the really fluffy back on it. And that was funny because 2 young guys, and I'd say like when I say young, mid-20s, they came in and looked around for a really long time. And I think they must have been buying for girlfriends or sisters because they were talking gift kind of thing. So they came in and bought a couple of things each. And one of them bought the hedgehog and I can't remember what the other thing was. But yeah, they went to a couple of young guys, which is always lovely when they come in because they sort of come in like big kids and they're like, oh, look at these. It's really nice. Purple fairy cat. So that's just a purple loaf cat with a couple of wings on it. That went to Bundle Guy. As did my red embroidered cat, which makes me think of 1970s IKEA or Scandinavian kind of folk art. So it was a red cat and I just used a variegated primary coloured yarn and did some cross stitches across its back and on its tail and I really liked it. So yeah, Bundle Man bought that. Plus I had a cat that had been sitting there for ages and it was made out of a powder blue yarn and it was the scruffiest thing. So and it was intended to be scruffy. So it was really super soft and I hadn't overstuffed it. So it was soft and it was squishy and it was fluffy and scruffy and yeah. So he bought that. And then the lady who loves my ice creams, she came back and her two daughters bought some things, and one of them was a big ice cream. So that was 6 things out of my mids and 3 of them to Bundle Guy. Then out of my chunks, which have been a little bit up and down, I'm just looking back. So the last time I was at this market, only 2 chunks went. A pig and, a big fat pig and a koala in overalls. This time, where are we? Nope, that's last week. Here we go. This week, 5 chunks. A blue velvet bear, so that was just a random, what do I want to say? A random freehand bear with a little white bow tie made out of this blue polar chenille from Spotlight. A ladybug. So, right back at the beginning of my markets and my beginning of amigurumi adventures, I found a website. I made the ladybug, and it has been sitting there for almost 2 years. And do I want to say 2 years? It's been sitting there since I started anyway. And Bundle Guy bought it, which was really good. So he bought the ladybug. A little girl came along and grabbed Strawberry Cat. Watermelon Cat also went. Can't remember who to. And the lovely ice cream family also bought a big fat pig, because one of those girls had come last time and bought a big fat pig, and so they needed another one. So that family now has 2 big fat pigs, and I don't know how many ice creams of mine. But that's lovely. They are really, really nice people that come along. So then out of my fancy things, the only thing that sold out of my fancies was a light blue jellyfish. And I don't have the yarn, but that's for people who are familiar with the Spotlight mill ends. It was one of those really thick, heavy, twisted ones in a white and light blue, and I absolutely loved it. So that went to a young girl who was very, very, very confused about which one to get because there were too many jellyfishes. Mum was pointing her to all different kinds, and so she ended up going back to the light blue one. So other than that, the last thing that sold was a mystery bag. And in that mystery bag, I know from my notes that I had Doug the Dragon, which was a little green ball-shaped dragon with wings on it that was as old as the ladybug. So I'm so glad that they went. It had one of Jenny's lanyards with the beads in it, or the little keyring thing, and it had a frog with googly eyes. So that went, and that was my list. So all up, that was 51 items. 51. That's my record. I'm just going to have a flip back through my book because I'm pretty sure that my closest was 40 something. So 43, 35, 38, 33, 35, 27, 24, 19, 20, 16, 41, 51. Definitely my record. Not my record for prices, because this one, not so many of my big things, more of my little things, but that's okay. So I was absolutely stoked with that. And Bundle Man ended up buying 16 different things. So all up, he got 2 chickens, an alien, a cactus in a pot, a slap-band snake, 1, 2, 3 loaf cats, the ladybug, 2 pickle cactuses, and 1, 2, 3, 4 little loaf cats. And so obviously he got a bit of a discount, and he said that he would possibly catch me next time, but he would email and tell me about some things that he wanted. The next thing that I wanted to talk about then was some things that I kind of discovered along the way. Apart from Bundle Guy, which just it blew me away. Even the lady next door, as he walked off, she just looked at me and she's like, what just happened? Anyway, I look, I have a feeling that I might have lost a couple of other sales while he was there, because he was taking up a lot of space and attention, and I noticed there were a few people behind him, and I don't know if they were just browsing or trying to get through, but anyway, he was collecting so much, I sort of let him go. I had a man come to me, and he came, and I was kind of having a bit of a panic. So he came up and he said, I bought a bluey from you at Panania, which is the other market that I do 2 weeks out from this one. And I thought, oh, this doesn't sound good. And he said, there's a couple of things I need to say. And I'm like, oh shit, what do I do? Anyway, he said, I bought it for my daughter's birthday and the tail's coming off. And I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry. That should never happen. Did you bring it with you? I can fix it. And he said, well, no, I didn't know you were going to be here. And he said, but you can fix it. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Bring it back and I will bring the materials with me and I will stitch it on and make sure that it's secure. And I'm really, really sorry. So I apologize. And he's like, okay, then. Well, then the second thing is, and I'm like, oh my God. Still panicking because, me being super positive me just assumes that everything's going to go to shit. And anyhow, he says, okay, so you're sure you can fix it? And I said, yes. And he said, okay, in that case then, can you make a bingo? Relief. Not very expressive, but relief. He wasn't angry. He just wanted to know if I could fix it because now that was a present. And then his other child wanted the bingo, which if you're not familiar with Bluey and Bingo, Bluey is the cattle dog from the ABC show and Bingo is a sibling. Bluey is dark blue and light blue and Bingo is like an orange and a lighter orange. So yeah, breathed a sigh of relief because I thought that he was going to go me for having bought something and the tail came off, and I feel really bad about that because, you try to do your best. And it's been 2 weeks, so I don't know what's happened to it in the meantime. If it was a bit of rough play, but even so, it shouldn't come off. So I will pack my needle and I'll pack some yarn and I will do a little bit of surgery on that one. I have a bingo underway. I can't say I'm happy with it necessarily because of the yarn color choices that I have that I'm limited to. But I'll make this with what I've got, see if he likes it, and then if he doesn't, I might point him to someone else that I know that could make it for him. So, long story short, I had 2 blueies and a stitch. They took a while, but they went over a period of 2 markets. They all went. I've had people at the markets come back to me and say, oh, can you make me a stitch? Can you make me a bluey? This is not a business. This is just for fun. The fact that it makes a little bit of money on the side is great because it pays for the yarn, it pays for the travel, it pays for the stall. There's very little profit to come out of it, especially when you consider time, because I keep my prices super low. So I don't want this to feel like an obligation. So yeah, if what I'm feeling now, and I think I might have said it before, is like I had this sort of realization that I when with somebody wanting to buy the Eeyore, I didn't have any of the Eeyore color left, so I thought I can never make an Eeyore again. But then Googling, and I can see that you can make the Eeyores out of all different colors. But the Bluey is Bluey, and Stitch is Stitch, and they need to be as close to the right colours as you can get. And given that we are working with Spotlight, who, I mean, if Spotlight was a person and I was this type of person, I would probably punch Spotlight in the face because, I mean, they give us some really lovely yarn and they're like, hey, come and get all of our yarn. And then, oops, surprise, we're not going to keep it anymore. You're on your own again. And so the yarn that I had used, which was just the perfect colours for Bluey and Stitch, I hadn't hoarded enough of. So firstly, if somebody goes you about hoarding yarn, tell them to shut up because then, if you're hoarding yarn, the right colours, you won't be in this situation. So I'm thinking, it's very, very difficult and I don't want to be in a position where I have to run all around trying to find the right colours. I have done that previously and it kind of just takes the fun out of the crochet. And so what I'm thinking is that I have signs up in my booth that say, oh, look at me saying booth like an American. Huh? Not in a rude way, but in my stall, I have signs up saying ask about custom orders or custom orders accepted. And I'm more than happy to do customs for, if someone says, oh, can you make me a loaf cat in these colours, or can you make me a, whatever. I'm going to have to put a stop to the licensed characters, the ones that are very, very specific, because the stress of having to put the colours together to get it right, have it done in a certain time frame, that's not what I want to do. If you've been here for a while, you know that I'm not a batch maker. I don't like the rules, and I don't like the patterns, and I just like to crochet what I feel like crocheting. It kind of took me a while to put this cat together because there was so much blue, and I did the body, and then I did the ears, and then I thought, yeah, nah, had enough of that color, put it aside, did something else, came back, did the feet and the tail. The bingo that I've got going, I did the body last night, and I'm probably not going to touch that for another couple of days because I'm sick to death of the colors. And I did make a blue bingo a couple of days, not blue bingo, what do you call him? Bluey. I made a bluey a couple of days ago, and I really had to force myself to get the arms on because by then I'm just like, nah. So the detail that goes into the license stuff, the pressure to get the colors right, is not something I have just discovered in the last 2 days is not for me. So I will offer commissions if someone wants, like the lady who wanted a tabby cat and a ragdoll cat. I can do that. That's no issue at all. The woman who says, oh, can you have a go at making Veruca salt for me? Yep, fine, but I only do one. So if I find that I have the yarn that matches a licensed thing like that I know that people are interested in. So, if Spotlight were to put out some more bluey yarn or some more stitch yarn or whatever, then yeah, I would probably make one maybe to put on the stall, but definitely not going to say, ask me about custom orders for those things because it's just not, it's not for me. I know that there are lots of people who do that, and everybody's brain works different. Mine works in the way that says if it becomes an obligation, you can't do it. 'Tis the way it is. A slight touch of the tisms. So I have got, it's funny because I was messaging Tracy the other day and I'm like, what blues do I need for stitch and what blues do I need for bluey? And I'm in a shop and which blues work? And I said, okay, well, I'll have to go home and just double check before I go buy the blues. Yeah, it turns out I've got about a dozen balls of different blue, but none of them are bluey and none of them are stitch blues. So I'm just going to go on my merry way and make what I feel like making. Custom orders for things that are not that it's the licensing thing, but the fact that the licensed things are known characters that have to look a certain way. So yeah, no for those. So I'm just going to do what I like to do. And the feedback, because I do try to listen really carefully to what people are saying and have a look at how they're interacting with my displays. And most of the comments about my display are saying, I like that there's so many different things to pick from. There are other people who say, oh my God, there is too much to pick from, but they say it with a smile. And I know that feeling too, because if I go to a restaurant and there's a menu, nah, there is too much, way too much choice, can't do it. It is so hard to pick off a menu. And so when there's just too many choices there, I'm more than likely just to either get something I don't like or get nothing. But people like to come in and some of them like to stand in them. I've seen it a few times now and it's really lovely. Some people come into the stall and they just sort of turn in circles and just look at everything. And then they'll go over here and say, oh, I love this and this and this. And then, oh, but there's that. And I have started grouping some things which I have found help. So I've got a big group of the little loaf cats, a big group of ducks, a big group of chickens. I try to keep my octopuses together, and oh my God, as much as I love making them, they will not friggin' sell. Although Bundle Guy did take a photo of 2 octopuses that he wants to get next time as baddies for his story. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, just the the little kids when they don't touch stuff. The little kids when they sort of go from here to there and there and there and they're like, look at this, oh, look at this, and look at it. It's nice. It's nice. There's not much nice stuff out there these days, but it's nice. So that's my therapizing myself this weekend. Therapizing. I think we've been there. I don't know. This is me doing some thinking and deciding what's not for me and what is for me. So yeah, that was the market recap. It was a great day. And then it wasn't hot. Okay, it was cloudy and it was freaking cold when we got there. Not winter cold, but it was only about 15, 16 degrees and I wasn't dressed for that. It warmed up as the morning went on. Sun came out for a short time and it was quite hot, but not hot enough where you'd be like, oh my God, it's hot. It was just a touch uncomfortable. But that went, cloud cover came, and then pack up was just as chill as the setup. It was really good. Got everything down and everything into the car, no troubles. I did hurt my back during the week, so I was worried about picking up the tables and getting them into the car because they're like 13 kilos each. But that wasn't difficult at all. And yeah, it was just, and when I got home, I wasn't even super tired. It was just a really, really nice day. And so I just realised I forgot to say I sold 51 things, but the grand total for the market was 515. So last week, where I was really excited because it was like my biggest ever, was 526. So I was only $11 off this one. And I'm okay with that. And like I said, even if I take out the number of things and the amount of money that Bundle Guy spent, that's still more than I've ever gotten at this market before. So what's 16 things out of 51 is like 35. And then 160 off. Oh, I'm not doing that maths. That's no, thank you very much. But anyway, it's still more than I've ever sold at that market before. So I'm pretty darn happy with that as a result. So I don't have another market for 2 weeks. I get to have a break for 2 weeks, which is great because I sold this much stuff and I have to try to restock some of it. So I've already started. I've made 2 cats. I've got a bluey, which I'm not happy about. I mean, not that it's bluey, but I'm not happy with the way a part of it turned out. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. I still have this thing that I've been talking about making something out of. And that's it. Oh, I did have some questions for you because you guys are a really good source of feedback for different things. And you know, if it hadn't been for Thea the Crochet Beast, where there would be no Big Fat Pig, which I have to make more of. So thank you, Thea, for that. The mushrooms as well. So yeah, just you know, the you guys kind of get things moving. So I wanted to ask you about these. These I made. Gosh, I made these a really long time ago, and I was selling them at the markets, and then I was thinking I'll stop selling them and I'll keep these at home because I'll make a pattern for them. But sometimes I have great ideas for patterns that I think are great ideas, and it turns out that they're actually stupid ideas. So I thought I would ask you about these. So these are my hybrid octopuses because I do love a good hybrid combination, composite animal, whatever you want to call them. So first of all, we have, there's this little face, we have a broctopus because these are broccoli. So we have a broctopus. We have an octocorn, which is basically what it says, little octocorn. We have, and I've sold a few of these actually, this is a choctopus. You know, chocolate, octopus, yeah, choctopus, you get it. This one is a hoptopus. It's a bunny, you know, hoptopus, little fluffy cottontail on the back there. I also have, now if you were listening last week and taking in my on the fly vocabulary lesson, you'll get this is a chooktopus. Chicken, Australian for chicken is chook, so that's my chooktopus. And then my last one, which I think this is my second one because the first one sold. This is my croctopus. So there we go. All of them are the same. They're just a, octopus with some bits. So if you, like I said, my goal was possibly a pattern bundle for those, but they're fairly straightforward, so I don't even know if that's necessary. But anyway, can you please tell me what you think? Is that worth putting together in a pattern, knowing how laborious patterns are and how crap I am at actually getting to them? Honest opinions, if you think it would not be worth it, please say that too. You are all very, very encouraging and very positive. I am not. So yeah, but if you think no, they're not really, they're just a random thing that are not gonna be very useful. So yeah, please let me know. I might get to them. I'm thinking, what is it now? We've just finished week 2. So we've got 8 weeks of school left and then 5 weeks off. So like I said last holidays that I would use the holiday time for patterns. I'll probably have to use the holiday time to restock for next year at this rate. I've got at least another 5 markets before Christmas, assuming, across all the body parts, assuming no rain and assuming that I don't kill myself in the meantime trying to keep up with 5 markets. That's me done for this week. I'm not sure what the video will be next week. It's obviously probably going to be a little bit of market prep. I keep threatening to do another computer bob video, but yeah, time. I'm hoping that I might just sort of get on top of the market prep enough that I can get these farm patterns out before too long. And yeah, that's it. So thank you for coming along. Thank you for sitting through another possibly long video. I am going to edit some crap out. I will see you all again possibly next week. In the meantime, take care, do something fun. Don't forget to leave a comment. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the video and you want to catch up for more market recap adventures and see what Bundle Guy does if he comes back again next week. That will be interesting to see. All right, I'll catch you all later. Thanks for coming. Bye.